All right, ready to dive deep into Brian Tracy's The 100 Absolutely Unbreakable Laws of Business Success. We're not going to get bogged down in all 100 laws. We're going to distill those key principles so we can really make a difference, in your life, your business.
We're aiming for that aha moment, the kind that makes you rethink things and say, okay, I can actually use this.
Exactly. And to help us with this, we've got a seasoned business strategist here, someone who hasn't just read Tracy, but has actually put these principles into action.
I'm excited to be here. These laws are so fundamental. It's always great to see how they resonate.
So let's start with the bedrock of Tracy's success philosophy, the law of cause and effect. He's so clear about success not being about luck, but understanding our thoughts and actions have consequences.
Yeah, it's tempting to think, why is this happening to me? But Tracy says, flip that script, ask yourself, what am I doing that's leading to this?
For a long time, I really struggled with procrastination. I'd put things off, miss deadlines, and then wonder why I wasn't reaching my goals, until I realized my inaction was the cause of my frustration.
That's the law of cause and effect in action. Taking ownership and understanding that you have the power to change things.
And that takes us to the law of belief, how our beliefs shape our reality. This one's big for me because I've seen how limiting beliefs can hold people back.
Oh, absolutely. Like Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And that's not just business, that's life.
So how can our listeners start to see those beliefs, the ones that might be holding them back? Sometimes we don't even realize they're there.
Pay attention to that inner voice.
Yeah.
What thoughts pop up when you hit a challenge? Are you saying, I'm not good enough, or I always fail? Once you see those beliefs, you can start to challenge them.
Like shining a light on those shadows and saying, wait, who says this is true?
Exactly. And then comes the law of attraction. Tracy says, like attracts like, meaning if you focus on the positive, you're more likely to get positive outcomes.
I know some people hear that and think, oh, positive thinking, that won't magically solve my problems. But there's more to it, right? Have you seen this work?
Absolutely. It's not denying reality or pretending challenges don't exist. It's consciously choosing to focus on what you want, not what you don't want.
So it's about shifting perspective. Instead of saying, I don't want to fail, you'd say, I'm going to succeed.
Precisely. And that subtle shift can have a huge impact on your actions and ultimately your results.
We've talked about thoughts and beliefs, but what about action? Tracy's law of control is all about taking responsibility for our circumstances.
It's recognizing that even when things feel out of control, you always have a choice. It's focusing on what you can influence.
This one's personal. I used to stress over things I couldn't control, like traffic or bad weather. Then I realized my frustration wasn't changing anything. It was just making me miserable.
Right. Dwelling on things you can't control just drains your energy. It stops you from focusing on what you can do to make things better.
So instead of blaming and complaining, Tracy says, okay, what can I do about this?
Exactly. Even a small step is empowering. It reminds you you're not just a passenger in your own life.
We're seeing a pattern here, right? Control our thoughts, believe in ourselves, then take action. And taking action often means making decisions. That's where Tracy's law of decision comes in.
He says even small decisions we make every day can have a big impact. And the key is to be decisive, to make those choices with clarity and conviction.
I'm working on this. I used to overthink everything, second-guess myself. But I've learned sometimes you just got to make a decision, move forward.
Indecision can be paralyzing, keeps you stuck, unable to move towards your goals.
I'm curious, have you ever made a decision that felt scary, but ended up being a turning point in your career?
Absolutely. Early on, I had a comfortable job, good pay, but it wasn't fulfilling. I knew I needed a change, but I was terrified. Finally, I quit and started my own consulting business. Huge risk, but the best decision I ever made.
Wow, that's inspiring. Shows how tough decisions can lead to the best outcomes. Now, with all the distractions today, making decisions and taking action is even harder. That's where the law of concentration comes in. Tracy's all about focusing on what really matters.
It's being intentional with your time and energy. Prioritizing tasks that have the biggest impact. Think about your to-do list. Are you spending time on urgent but unimportant things? Or are you carving out time for what really moves the needle?
Okay, I have to admit, I get bogged down in the small stuff sometimes. Those urgent tasks can take over.
We all do. But Tracy reminds us success takes discipline, focus, and saying no to distractions. It's about creating time where you can fully focus on the work that matters most.
Yeah, I love this next one. It's so Tracy, the law of overcompensation. It's going above and beyond, exceeding expectations in everything you do.
Delivering more value than anyone expects, consistently exceeding those expectations. becoming known for your work ethic.
Like that story Tracy tells about the secretary who wanted to earn more. She started being more helpful, anticipating her boss's needs, going the extra mile. And guess what? Her boss noticed, and she got a raise.
It's classic. Going above and beyond leads to rewards. People notice when you deliver exceptional value.
So we've talked about taking control, making decisions, focusing our energy, and going the extra mile. Seeing a theme here.
Absolutely. It's about taking ownership, being proactive, and building those habits that lead to success. And that brings us to the next set of laws, strategic thinking, and developing a long-term vision.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's dive into those strategic laws next time.
Welcome back, ready to keep exploring Brian Tracy's principles. As we move into strategic thinking, let's start with what Tracy calls the law of purpose.
Finding your why, right? Tracy talks a lot about that, having a driving force behind what you do in business.
He calls it your major definite purpose. It's like a compass for your decisions. Without it, you're just reacting, but with it, you can shape your future.
I think a lot of our listeners can relate to feeling like they're drifting along, reacting to emails, deadlines, no clear direction. So how can someone define this major definite purpose?
It starts with some tough questions. What truly motivates you? What are your values? What impact do you want to make? It's not just about business, it's about aligning your work with your values and what you want in life.
That could be tough, right? For someone who's feeling lost, where do they even begin?
Start small. What work are you doing right now that gives you a sense of fulfillment? What problems do you care about solving? Once you see those threads, you can start to weave them together.
I love that analogy. It's not about having all the answers at once. It's about connecting those dots and seeing where they lead.
Exactly. And as you get clearer on your purpose, it's easier to make decisions that fit your goals. You'll be able to say no to things that don't fit, even if they seem like good opportunities at first.
That's a great point. Having that clarity to make choices that support your bigger vision. Now let's talk about something fundamental to any successful business. The law of the customer, Tracy, really emphasizes putting the customer at the center of everything.
He's right. Customer satisfaction is essential. It's not enough to meet expectations, you gotta exceed them. Create those wow moments that make customers come back for more.
We've all had those experiences where a company goes above and beyond and it makes you feel loyal and trusting. It's not just about the product, it's the whole experience.
Exactly. Think about the businesses you always go back to. What keeps you coming back? Is it the product quality, great customer service? Or maybe they just make you feel valued.
You know, this reminds me of this coffee shop I go to.
Yeah.
The owner always remembers my order, we chat, and he even throws in a free pastry sometimes. It's those little things that make me feel like more than just a transaction.
Perfect example. It's about relationships, not just transactions. And those relationships are built on trust, respect, and caring about your customers.
So how can our listeners apply this, especially if they're not running a business where they interact with customers face to face?
Even online, there are so many ways to connect. Respond to emails quickly and thoughtfully. Go the extra mile to solve problems, get feedback, and show you're listening. It's those human touches that matter.
Now, the world's changing so fast, businesses can't afford to stay the same. Tracy talks about this in the law of innovation. It's about adapting and embracing new ideas.
He's spot on. You got to constantly learn, evolve, and challenge how things are done. Look at what happened to companies like Blockbuster. They didn't adapt to streaming. They were so focused on what they were doing, they missed a huge change.
Ouch. That's a reminder that even the biggest companies can fail if they don't innovate. But how do we stay ahead in such a fast-paced world? It's overwhelming.
It starts with being curious and willing to try new things. What are the new trends in your industry? What technologies are coming out? How are customer needs changing? By staying informed and open, you can adapt and thrive.
So we've got to be innovative, customer-focused. But in a crowded marketplace, how do you stand out? Tracy's law of differentiation is all about this.
It's about finding your unique selling proposition. What makes you different? Why should customers choose you over everyone else?
And that's a tough question, especially in a competitive field. Any tips for our listeners on how to find that unique selling proposition?
Think about what you do better than anyone else. Is it your customer service, your problem solving, your commitment to something like sustainability? Once you know your strengths, build your brand around them and show that value to your audience.
I love those examples. So we're seeing the importance of purpose, great customer service, innovation, and being different. What other insights does Tracy offer for navigating the ups and downs of business?
Well, that's where the laws of leadership and money come in. It starts with something essential for any entrepreneur: courage.
The law of courage, right? Taking those calculated risks, even when it's scary.
Stepping outside your comfort zone, embracing discomfort, being okay with the possibility of failing. Early in my career, there was a chance to lead a big project, but I was terrified. I'd never done anything like it. But I knew if I didn't take the risk, I'd always wonder, what if?
What advice do you have for our listener who might be struggling with fear and self-doubt? How do they find that courage?
First, admit you're scared. Don't ignore it. Fear is normal, but it doesn't have to control you. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? Often, you'll see that not doing anything is worse than taking a chance.
That's powerful. We often make fear bigger in our minds than it really is.
It's about changing your thinking from, what if I fail, to what if I succeed? Think about the possibilities when you have the courage to act.
So we have to be courageous, but also realistic, right?
Yes, Tracy's law of realism says we have to face challenges honestly and objectively. It's easy to get caught up in wishful thinking, but success needs a clear view of your strengths and weaknesses. Knowing where you stand helps you make good decisions and improve.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs, especially when they're starting out, have trouble with this. They're overly optimistic, maybe even avoiding areas they need to work on.
It's true. But Tracy says admitting your weaknesses is a strength. It lets you find support, delegate, and come up with ways to overcome those limitations.
So it's not about being perfect. It's about being honest and finding resources to fill those gaps.
Exactly. And that leads to a core part of Tracy's philosophy, the law of capital.
Investing in yourself, right? Seeing yourself as your most valuable asset.
Exactly. It's not just about money. It's about investing in your knowledge, skills, health, your personal growth. Read books, go to seminars, network with people, anything that helps you become more valuable.
I really believe in this. I've seen how investing in my own development has paid off.
It's about that long-term view, knowing that investing in yourself can have huge returns.
We're talking about investing in ourselves, but what about managing money well? Tracy's law of saving is all about building financial security by saving consistently.
He says save at least 10% of your income no matter what. I know that's hard for some people, especially those just starting out or facing tough times.
Yeah, I bet a lot of listeners are thinking, 10%, no way.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for people struggling to make ends meet?
Start small. Even $5 or $10 a week, the important thing is the habit. Set up an automatic transfer to your savings so you don't even have to think about it.
Make it a priority, right? Treat your savings goals as importantly as any other bill.
Exactly. And as your savings grow, it motivates you to keep going. It's about feeling secure and knowing you're building a strong foundation.
This has been so insightful. We've covered a lot, from purpose to finances. What else does Brian Tracy have for us?
Well, that's where the laws of leadership and money come in, and we'll dive into those next time.
Okay, we're back for the last part of our deep dive into Brian Tracy's The 100 Absolutely Unbreakable Laws of Business Success. We've uncovered so much already, like the power of belief, focusing on the customer, but there's still more to explore, especially when it comes to leadership and money.
And those two, they're more connected than you might think. Good leadership often leads to financial success for both the individual and the company.
So let's get into it. Tracy has a whole section on the laws of money, starting with the law of magnetism. Sounds pretty interesting.
It suggests that the more you save, the more you actually attract. It's about changing your mindset from scarcity to abundance, appreciating what you have instead of focusing on what you don't. It's like a cycle where good financial habits bring in more positive outcomes.
I've heard this called money consciousness, like your thoughts and beliefs about money can actually affect your finances.
Right. If you're always worried about money, thinking you'll never be secure, you're kind of making it come true. But if you think about abundance, believe you can build wealth and make smart choices, you're more likely to attract opportunities that help you reach your goals.
So it's not being greedy. It's about being positive and open to possibilities with money.
Exactly. It's empowering. You make financial decisions with confidence and clarity, not fear.
Okay, we're thinking abundantly, saving regularly, and things are looking brighter financially. What's next on Tracy's path to success?
That's where the law of accelerating acceleration comes in. It basically means the faster you move toward financial freedom, the faster it comes to you. It's about momentum, building on your successes and speeding things up.
So it's not just taking action, it's about consistent action that builds over time.
Exactly. At first, it might feel slow, but as you gain momentum, things start happening quicker and quicker. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. It starts small, but then grows rapidly.
I like that. It's true for so many things, not just money. The more effort we put in, the faster we see results.
Definitely. It's that positive loop where your successes motivate you to achieve even more.
Okay, we've talked a lot about personal finance. But business success isn't just about managing money. It's also about selling. Tracy has a section on the laws of selling because persuasion and influence are so important.
And he makes a great point. Selling is really about serving. It's helping customers solve their problems and reach their goals.
I think a lot of people get this wrong. They see selling as pushy and manipulative. But really, it's about building relationships, understanding needs, and offering solutions.
You got it. The best salespeople genuinely care. They listen, ask questions, and adjust their approach for each person.
It's about creating a win-win, right? Where both the seller and the buyer feel good about it.
Yeah, exactly. That leads to loyalty, repeat business, and good word of mouth. It's about trust and becoming a reliable resource for your clients.
So we're building relationships, offering value, closing deals, but sometimes we have to negotiate. And Tracy's got us covered with his laws of negotiating to help with those tough conversations.
He stresses being prepared. Before you negotiate anything, you got to know your goals, what you can leverage, and what the other person wants and needs.
I think people go into negotiations nervous and unprepared, and they end up agreeing to things they regret later. So how can our listener be more confident and clear?
Do your research. Learn about the other person, understand their side, and think about what they might object to. Practice what you'll say. Know what you won't budge on, and be ready to walk away if the deal isn't good for you.
Great advice. Going into a negotiation feeling strong, knowing your worth, and being ready to stand your ground.
Yes. And remember, it shouldn't be a fight. It should be working together to find a solution that benefits everyone.
This has been amazing, going through Brian Tracy's 100 absolutely unbreakable laws of business success. We've covered so much, from the basics of success to leadership, money, sales, and negotiation. It's been a real deep dive.
It has. And remember what Tracy says in his law of competence. Your ability to learn and use knowledge and skills is what determines your success. Keep learning, keep growing, and remember these laws can change your life and your business.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for all your insights today. And to everyone listening, we hope this deep dive gave you some new ideas and inspiration to use these principles in your own life and business. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep aiming for that unbreakable success.